Super Mario Brothers. Well, what can I say about this game that hasn't been said up a zillion times? This game was and still is a freaking masterpiece. From the controls to its music, everything about it is amazing. Ever since it was released, Mario has become a world famous icon, rivaling those characters like Mickey Mouse, hell, probably even more iconic and well known. And he's still going pretty strong with no hint of slowing down. Being the most successful video game franchise, Mario has been in plenty of sequels and countless spin-offs that are still insanely successful. The one game that really took off and made him into what the series is now is Super Mario Bros. A game so simple yet so great that it is still one of the best games ever. How is it so great? Well, it basically follows everything that makes a game. It has excellent gameplay, great music, and the graphics are bad for when it came out. So when I was younger, way younger, I never got to finish the game. And now, believe it or not, for the first time ever, I'm gonna finish Super Mario Bros. So the game starts with our hero Mario traveling to what I can assume is the Mushroom Kingdom in his quest to save Princess Peach. On the levels, we just have to jump and jump and jump and jump over obstacles and dodge or defeat the enemies on the way. Sounds pretty simple, but as you progress, the levels start to get harder and harder and frustrating. God! But the gameplay is so great that it is never the game's fault for your mistakes. I also think that the enemy placement was thought around the idea that the player would just run from one side to the other like a madman, making this dumbest crash on every enemy or fall in every pitfall on the way to the end. There's a pretty good variety of levels in the game. We got a basic overworld level which just has a bunch of platforms and enemies along the way, with palette swaps or a specific theme like this level which there are just a bunch of green pipes with piranha plants, or this other one which is like a pretty long bridge with these annoying fishes jumping around. Then we have the cave levels, which feels pretty much the same as the overworld level, except that the music and the area change, and it might feel a little bit too narrow, like there's not enough space for dodging enemies properly, but that just makes the game more fun and challenging. Then we have a few water levels, which is simply Mario swimming around, collecting coins and dodging fishies and bloopers. Finally, the castle levels. These levels are maybe the toughest in the game. There are a bunch of traps like fireballs jumping from lava, or what I think is a flamethrower thingy that goes around in circles, and at the end of each castle you fight Bowser, which is pretty much the same boss at the end of the castle, with minor changes here and there, where you just have to get around him and jump on top of the hammer behind him so that the floor blows up and Bowser falls down into the flames of destruction! After you defeat Bowser, there's a stupid toad right there that tells us the stupid princess is another freaking castle, with the exception of being the last castle in which the princess is in fact in there. To help you out on the way, there are a bunch of power-ups that will give you an extra hit when you touch an enemy. There's a super mushroom which makes Mario grow and break brick blocks, the fire flower which gives Mario the ability to throw fireballs and kill enemies easier, and the Starman, which makes Mario invincible for a short period of time and plays a really catchy tune which is actually the sound my alarm makes every morning. As you go along the levels, you can collect coins, and each time you get 100, you get an extra life. There's a pretty big variety of enemies in the game. We have our Goombas that do absolutely nothing but walk in a straight line towards you. We have two types of Koopas, sort of like dragons I think, which are the green ones and the red ones, and the only difference is that the red ones know when to turn from a fall. There are water-based enemies like the fish or the bloopers, which are like squids, some black shells walking around with freaking annoying hammer bros which throw hammers like an insane construction worker, and even the more annoying Lakitus which can infinitely spawn spikies. God, these are annoying. These enemies can be defeated in a variety of ways, like jumping on them, hitting them with a fireball, jumping on a Koopa so that it goes back to its shell, and jumping on the shell again in order to make it fly away and hit a bunch of enemies in its way. If you're being careless and by any chance dodge an enemy, Mario will die, but if you're on a super mushroom or a fire flower, Mario will grow back to its original size and you'll still have one more chance at surviving the level. However, if you fall down in a pitfall or something like that, or lava pits, whatever, Mario will just die regardless if you were wearing the fire flower or super mushroom, or even if you were using the superstar, whatever, you're just gonna both die. The graphics on the game aren't the best of the NES era, but they were pretty awesome for the time when the game came out, because after this game, all the games we have were about squares and, well, they didn't look as well. Mario looks pretty great. You can clearly distinguish him from the rest of the sprites on the screen. The enemies look pretty good as well, and they are easily distinguished between them and the backgrounds. Talking about the backgrounds for the levels, they are pretty clear with what they want to represent, whether if it is a cave or a castle, it all looks pretty good. What can I say about the music? Every living person in the world knows the freaking Super Mario Bros. Theme. Just listen to it for a minute and it'll be in your mind for the rest of the day. This is probably the main overworld theme, and everyone knows it by heart. The music in the game is super awesome and super catchy. By World 3 you recognize every single song of the game. From the caves to the castle to the sea level, actually. The songs will just stay with you for the rest of your life. Super Mario Bros. Was and still is a great game, even with today's standards. It is challenging enough that it will make you try it again and again and again. And the game itself has a bunch of secrets, like take the warp zones for example. In order to get to them, you have to jump on top of the brick blocks on levels 1, 2 or 4, 2 and take a shortcut into the later levels. There are probably more secrets, but I just haven't gotten around to finding them yet. After many years, I finally beat the game, and all I can say is that for a 27-year-old game, it still holds up amazingly well. After all these years, Mario's popularity is still huge, and more games about him are being made. They just keep on selling like hotcakes on a Sunday morning. Well, this was my Super Mario Bros. Review. Hope you liked it, and keep on watching. Thank you.